Hello, hello my lovely ladies, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you a few palettes. Oh, well, a lot. And these are the palettes I only reach for this time of year. I try to use them during the year, but every time I pick them up, I'm like in summer or spring, I'm like, nah, it's not the time, it's not the time. So I'm so glad we're finally getting into fall and winter because I finally get to dig into these palettes. So let's jump into the video and let me tell you which palettes are in this box. But before I jump into the video, if you're new here, hi, my name is AnneChris and on my channel I want to inspire you to use a little bit of color every day by creating colorful looks, but always keeping them a little bit more elegant and a little bit more sophisticated. I also try out a lot of new brands, especially from high-end and indie, because that is just my jam. So I really love them and I can really tell you what is actually worth your time and money. So if this sounds interesting to you, then please consider subscribing. I upload 2 to 3 times a week, so there's always something fun to watch. And let's just start. Let's just dig into this big box. I'm just going to pick the one from the front. And this is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hilt Vault palette. And this is the, which one is this? Dark Magic palette. Well, as you can see, it is really dark. And this is not a palette I tend to reach for in summer or spring, or maybe still not even really now, but mainly when we go into December and like the Christmas and January, February, when it's really winter, because you have these beautiful silvers and deep icy blues, but you also got that green over here. So it is a very interesting fall palette as well. But somehow I tend to reach for this one when it's really cold, when it gets really cold. Then another palette from the Vault collection from Jaclyn Hill and Morphe, and that is this one. And this one is really a fall palette. I have tried to reach for it this summer because I was like, you know, there's a lot of orange in here and I can maybe do something like a goldeny sunrise look, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't happen. So this is really a palette I reach for in fall, and I probably won't be reaching for this when we are really getting into winter, but this is really a true fall palette for me and I love this one. I know that the Vault collection by Jaclyn Hill didn't get the best rep, but somehow I got the good batch. So I'm really glad that I did. I have 2 different covers, so I know one is worse than the other, or should be worse than the other, but I don't have any problems with these. So then another palette that is really something I have tried to reach for, because I think I bought this. I bought it, I think, this year. And it must have been around like spring, summer, because that was when I was buying makeup, and I bought this quite early in the year. It's like, I thought I can do something with these and I can do something with these. It's quite light. I can do something summery. And no, hun, no, it's not working. It's not happening. So yeah, this is really something I am glad it's finally darker, because this is I feel a true fall palette. It has these beautiful oranges, beautiful greens, but it also goes very smoky and cool toned over there. And I love a good burgundy in winter. So this is a palette I'd love to reach for this time of year. And yeah, somehow I couldn't make it work when it's not very like wintry and dark outside. Then I have 2 palettes from 50/50. This is their new palette. This is the autumn palette, and it's quite duh why I would, you know, reach for this one during this time of year, because it's an autumn palette. It is very dark looking, but I did a look. I think it's coming on my channel next week. I did a look with this palette and I thought I could make it pretty wearable and pretty like light for what you see. It's very grungy, very murky. And I think this is probably a palette I will reach for more when, you know, we get really deep into fall and winter. And then another 50/50 makeup palette, and this is their winter palette. This is stunning. I got this last winter and it's a beautiful palette. I think it's the first one she did in her like seasonal collections, and it's a very beautiful palette. This red, girl, this red is really stunning and also really grungy, but because of this light frosty shade over here, you can really make a very completed look with this palette. I really like it. And then a palette that is quite new to my collection. This is the Yayah palette from Myali Beauty. I've done 2 videos with this palette. I bought this around summer and I've used it a few times, and you can make a really summery look, but it's only with these and this shade, and the rest is quite deep and dark and murky. So this is a palette I don't tend to reach for, or I think I won't be reaching for in summer. I didn't reach for it other than for my videos when it was still summer, because it's just too murky. It's just too deep and grungy for that time of year. But I'm glad we're finally into fall, because this is a beautiful palette. It's really stunning. It works really nice. The colors are so beautiful, and yeah, so I'm really glad I can finally dig into this some more. Now, this palette is a somewhat older palette for Nabla. It's the Dreamy 2. I think it came out last winter. I didn't pick it up then because there was just a lot of other stuff I wanted to get, but I'm so glad I got it now, and I got it in summer and I was like, oh, I want to play with it. But every time I was like, yeah, no, I can't really play with it because the color story is just way too deep and way too dark. So this for me, it's not even really a fall palette. This to me screams New Year, Christmas and winter. And yeah, but I'm already going to try and see if I can make some beautiful looks with this one, because I can't wait to dig into this thing. Then the Safari Raine palette from Colored Raine. This was a limited edition palette, and I think she still has the singles, but they are going out of stock as well. She's taken the single shadows out of her collection, I believe. That was what I understood of the email she sent out. But this is the Safari Raine palette, also very fall, as you can see. This is really fall to me because of those green and bronze tones. I don't think you can totally do something with just like this for winter, but I think when it's really winter, I might be reaching for this a little bit less because it's really fall for me. And this palette is really beautiful. I'm really glad that I took the plunge and picked it up when the last restock was here. Then another true fall palette for me, and also it slits into winter, but mainly fall, is the Subculture palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is a new one. I haven't dug into this one. The old one I sent off to a friend because the fudge sheet, this one was broken when it arrived and it was just all over the place. It was just messy. So I got this new one, and this is so stunning. This is one of the most beautiful palettes I have in my collection. This palette works wonderful for me. I feel like it is really fall, but when I'm looking at it in the viewfinder a little bit more, it is so deep and grungy. This will go into winter for me as well. I can just tell. But this is something I am not reaching for in summer or in spring. No way. Then the Rising Phoenix or Phoenix Rising eyeshadow palette from Pretty Vulgar. This is the color story. I bought this, I think almost a year ago now. I just bought it on sale at Douglas. And I was like, you know, I really want to try it because these palettes, you have another one in this like birdcage type of outlay, had a lot of hype a few years ago on YouTube. So I was like, you know, I really want to have one. I'm making a mess with the mirror. I really want to get one because I think it is so lovely. I have birds in the background, as you can see. I'm very into nature. I'm like that, you know, I'm like that. I have that witch inside of me. I love practical magic, and this, you know, the movie Practical Magic, like these four very stunning, very witchy ladies, very independent. Love the movie, and the men are quite nice to look at as well. So yeah, great movie. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, Practical Magic vibes from this one. So I really wanted to get it, and I've used it a few times, and I was so surprised with the quality of the shadows, but also this eyeshadow colors. These eyeshadow colors really make my eyes pop, so that is why I really love it, but I just don't reach for it any other time of the year than during fall or winter. So yeah, I'm glad I can really dig into this one again. Then I have a few Natasha Denona palettes I really am drawn to. This is not a surprise. This is a Metropolis palette. This is so fall. She just could have called it the fall palette and we all would be, you know, you will all be believing it and it would be fine, no questions asked. So yeah, this is a palette I really have been digging into these last few weeks because I bought this last year and I wanted to do a review on it. I didn't get around to doing that, so it was sitting in my drawer. I pulled it out a few times because I thought you need to use it. You need to have an opinion on this thing. And I just, yeah, it just didn't inspire me. But now it really does. It's a very special palette. I have to say that it works really nicely. It works really well. But the formulas, there are a lot of formulas in here. And especially like the cream to powder. When you blend it out, when you have finally blended it out beautifully, it is one of the most beautiful effects ever, but it takes you a while to blend them. So it is It is a beautiful palette. It's just not, in my opinion, one of the most easiest to work with. But yeah, I really do enjoy it. Gold palette. It's not a big surprise, I think. If you know my collection a little bit, you know that I have this in my collection. This is just a palette I love around Christmas time because of those deep blues. I think this is really, really nice. And also if you want like more of a neutral, I'm not really a neutral type of girl, but you know, if you want to keep it a little bit more neutral, you totally can with this palette. The only thing I want to warn you about with this palette is that these golds look really gold, but they all pull green. They all pull green, so keep that in mind if you want to pick this up. And then a palette by Colourpop. This is the I Love Sarah E, I think it's called. Oh no, it's the Through My Eyes palette with I Love Sarah E collab palette. I think I did a video a very long time ago on this palette. This surprised me so much. This is such a stunning palette. I don't know if they still have that one. But yeah, this is one of my favorite palettes from Colourpop next to, I think, Dream Street. It has the same type of color story. This is a little bit lighter, but somehow I don't reach for it during summer and spring. I only reach for it during this time of year, like really fall. I don't know if I will reach for it during winter and stuff like that, but you know, this is really a fall palette for me. Then this is another big surprise. I think this is the Gemini palette by Melt Cosmetics. I think this is one of their best palettes they have in the range. I know a lot of people have had some problems with like this shade and this shade because you only have like two shimmers and they puff up a little bit. Mine didn't, so mine is totally fine. And what I love about this palette is that it's practically all matte. You only have that one and that one as a shimmer. The shimmers are not that great. This one is quite okay, but this one is like, nah, it's not too good. But I really do love this. And this is a palette I wear through like fall, winter, the whole like season because it's very dark in tone and very cool toned. And I really do love that. So you have like these murky mustardy colors with those deep browns. Love this palette. This is one of the favorite palettes I have in my collection. Then another palette I have in my collection for quite a while, but never reached for it because it wasn't the right time. And that is the High Times palette from Midas Cosmetics. And it's high time I use it. It does look a little bit like, well, it doesn't look like, but it has some vibes from the Smoke Sessions palettes from Melt Cosmetics. So that is why I somehow don't pick that up because I already have this one. Because of these two shades, I think that's all you need. When you want like the Smoke Sessions palette, it's all about those steely greens. And yeah, so I have that in this palette and I think I played with it, I think 2 or 3 times now. I really do love it. I love the quality. I also got the Flower Bomb palette and I'm not reaching for it because it's so springy. And I must say I'm wearing a very spring-like look at the moment because funny enough, that is like the full trend for this year. So that is kind of funny. I'm trying to reach for those colors a little bit more because I can, and you know, I can get use out of my palettes a little bit more by that. But I'm glad we are finally in the darker and the cooler months of the year so I can reach for this one because it is a really fun palette. And I have used it a few times, but I need some exploring still because it's really nice. It's really nice. Okay, ladies, that is it for me for today. Let me know down below, are there any palettes you are glad you finally can dig into again because it's that time of the year, you can finally get it out of your collection. Let me know down below. I would love to hear your suggestions, or I would love to hear the palette you finally can dig into again. I hope you did like this video. If you did, then please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already because I would love to see you in my next one. Bye!